All right, we're live, and today we're doing a training on Claude skills and some of the other things that Claude can do that you guys probably don't know about. So, I've been a total ChatGPT person for the past 3 or 4 years since it came out, and never really tried any of the other agents very much at all. Um, but I kept hearing Claude was better at copy. Everybody's been saying it for a long time, and I just decided to give it a whirl maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and the copy was definitely better. Um, and then I started using it to rewrite all of my copy for our templates that we use to set up nurture sequences and email campaigns for clients. And I was like, dang, this is way better. And I started to realize they could process bigger, files and bigger tasks I would give it more accurately. So I don't know if it's actually, smarter or not, or maybe it's just got better writing that's easier to understand, which is obviously really important for marketing. But I've landed on it and I've started using it more than ChatGPT. Um, I've also been experimenting a lot with Manus lately. Um, but what you're going to see here is basically what I've learned in the process of upgrading our onboarding flow to one that gets a whole lot done in a really short period of time, and produces plans for build outs that are much more detailed and allow us to deliver like a fully fleshed out system, um, because it gets us all the planning out of the way so much faster. So I'm going to show you guys, like even just for my day-to-day tasks. I'm sure a lot of you have a chat in ChatGPT that you use where that's the one you go back to write your post-call emails, or you go back to this specific chat because it knows the format you use for a certain for me, like I send out my invitations to these trainings, right? I've got a community post, LinkedIn post, SMS to clients, SMS to non-clients. I'm loading in custom fields for like the time of the meeting in the client's time zone. So it's complicated. And I have a certain format that I like to follow. I like to be saying high level in one of the first few words so people notice it in their inbox. There's a lot of things that I put into it. And I used to keep my documents in Google Drive where I'd copy the prompt out and paste it into a new chat. Once ChatGPT finally said, "Oh, I can't go any longer in this thread." And I'm like, dang, now I got to retrain a new thread, right? So Claude skills basically replace this issue. Um, it's it's almost like a document that Claude creates in a knowledge base that it can access when it can tell you're asking for it to do a task that is one of the ones mentioned in its knowledge base. My friend was mentioning this to me and I had seen it, so then I went in to check it out, and I'm gonna show you guys all the things I learned and then how to set up some of these. So now I've got a skill for writing my meeting messages. I've got a skill for editing these giant documents and knowing how to process them properly for clients. So all these different processes I had in documents, now I can just reference in any chat. So I'm not having that fear of my chat reaching its maximum capacity. If you're integrating Claude into something else, you can also reference your skills there. So it makes it easier to kind of deploy knowledge bases in line with the tasks that you do every day. So if you go into settings and capabilities, this is where all the really cool stuff I saw was. This was already enabled. This is the documents that Claude creates, and the fact that this is probably why it's so good, Stephanie, at editing a big document, because it has a built-in like knowledge base for how to create these documents and how to edit big ones. ChatGPT will be like, I can't do it. Meanwhile, Claude will convert it into JavaScript and then edit it, and it'll be in a markdown format, and it'll convert code back into the document so that it can process it. I think that's the difference, and that can apply to so many more things than just editing big documents. So when you have something that you've been training where normally you'd say, "Hey, can you make a prompt I can reuse in another thread for this?" Now you can just say, "Hey, create a skill." The old way I would try to improve this process is when I would like, there's one that was always really difficult. I would convert a file that would have multiple phone numbers on a row or multiple emails on one row. I would need to duplicate all the rows so that only one unique email and phone is on each row for upload to HighLevel. And there's a lot of different scenarios and source, depending on where I'm getting the list from would depend on the format of the list. So it was difficult to re-implement this. As AI has gotten better, it is more able to do it without so much prompting ahead of time. But I would convert my prompt into like a Python script because the Python script would be easier to paste and reuse in a prompt. Well, skills just takes it's that same whole thing I've been trying to overcome, and it's packaged in a way that's really easy to use. So here's the other things that I saw that make it more like ChatGPT that Stephanie, I'm hoping are not going to start bogging my processing power down. But you can generate memory from chat history. So it can remember context from chat. That's like what ChatGPT is known for. And it can search other relevant details in past chats. That's something I did not know it could do. And I just turned these two on. So if you guys have Claude, these are probably all off. Oh, what the heck? I didn't know it could do that either. Um, so yeah, now I've gone to my skills and I've got all these different skills. Some of these were already in here. Like I didn't make these. These are the ones I have. Post call email, SOP customizer, and it looks like I need to upload a new one I made today. So you guys all saw the chat where I prepared my meeting invitations a second ago. Now this skill doesn't just produce them in my format. First, it researches trending. So it takes the topic of what I want to show, like Claude, and then it's going to go and research what's trending on Google right now and try to basically find a way to kind of slide my content in where it's relevant to that topic. So it gives me 5 options for titles. And these titles are not only going to help you guys end up hopping on my meetings, but also help with the SEO on YouTube. So I do this one training twice a week. I generally kind of have an idea just of what I've been working on and what I'm going to talk about. But this produces a way for me to message my whole list. And people don't opt out. As you guys, we got 2 people on here that I haven't ever met before. One of them has been getting texted for a year. And then it also does the hashtag research for LinkedIn posts. It does a lot of research when it's helping me prepare this to make sure it's going to convert. And then it gives all of it to me in the right format. So I just asked it to update this skill because I never loaded it. So then I basically just copy and paste this into HighLevel snippets. It takes this morning, I had a 10-minute block. That's all I had free. And I was able to come up with this training, come up with all these messages, and here we are. So this lets you do a lot of work really quickly, especially if you build something into your schedule that kills so many birds with one stone. Like this will be on YouTube forever, optimized, and it took me 10 minutes. So Zoom training pack, I'm going to download. So you just ask it to create the skill. I said, hey, create the skill and give me and today I want to talk about Claude skills. So it made this. You go into the settings, capabilities, go to customize, plus. You can make one right there, or you can just upload your prepackaged skill, and that's it. Now I can reference it in any chat. And I've got a lot of rules, but um each one has like the main instructions, but it also has assets. Like these are past examples, references. These are just my formats for all and the processes for doing the research for each step of it. So you can have some pretty complex processes built into this skill that you can just tap at any time. And that, Stephanie, when I saw this and then I saw the AI artifacts, I was like, I know that I can make this document easier to process by building an interface. So then I took that 57-page document and I just said, let's create an app for helping people process through this document and know when it's all completed. I said I want to make sure the context passes through each stage. So like all the transcripts that are uploaded or things that we've learned along each stage flow properly. And I had to reorder the sections so that by the time you confirm one section, it doesn't ever change anything in the previous sections. So like you map out your pipelines before you determine how many nurtures you need and how many calendars there are. So there's just a proper order for sequencing it. And now that's all built into this. And once they approve everything, I can trigger notifications to my team. And then I can even have it go into, okay, now it's the SOP call phase where it'll have us or so it'll be a guide not only for my account managers and the clients, but also for my team to better deliver the services. The only question is now I'm getting a little out of HighLevel, which I've had so many problems with things not being well integrated in the past. So on Thursday, I'm going to do another training where I dig into which platforms I recommend using, the pros and cons of using HighLevel funnels and HighLevel as a database versus using AWS or some other database or funnel builder. I think most likely I'll use a different database and I'll build the front end code in in a in probably Lovable, and then I'll take that code and I will iframe it inside of a high level website. Um, that's probably how on the next call on Thursday I'm going to break down like why we do it that way. I think there's a lag in the load speed when you're accessing high levels database. Um, but I'm going to have some very granular information about pros and cons of each platform on the Thursday call. That's what the training will be about. But I took this document. I'm going to show you the original document and then how much easier it is in the app format to push people through this drive. So this is our like account build out process. I would normally drop this into chat, give it the website transcript of the client, and then it updates this giant document. And it's got the processes for how you process the SOP, color coding rules. So the AI makes sure that everything's color coded so you know what to do next. And you can then go here and say, hey, what do I have left to do? But it's just still like this is not the experience I want my clients to have. So first, developing these really big SOPs is great, but then you can take this is like crystallizes everything that I really do when I'm helping somebody set up an account. Now I can turn it into an app. And that's where you can do it in Claude interface, but then there's some pros and cons to Claude's code, to Claude's like app builder. And that's why I'm kind of leaning towards low. But guys, that's most of it. So I'd love if you guys have any questions you can ask. A lot of the people on here, we talked about some of this stuff leading up, but I feel like I've given you guys a good look at skills. We can show one in use if you want. So that could be cool. Let's use the skill to write a pack on for Thursday on pros and cons of using high level database and funnels for custom app building versus the competitors. And I'm going to have to give it some context from my meetings with the team. And I've done some research recently on this in other chats. But really, like, unless you've been building in the high level builder and building custom apps, you wouldn't know that there's that lag. Um, and I just need to clarify all the things I'm seeing with my team. So I'm going to let this show, and then I'll also show the hours tracker that we built for our clients. The client can put in their email, and it then shows all of their tasks that we've done and how long it took, if it's finished or not. I know that's also tying through the Clockify integration. We use Clockify for time tracking. That's one thing high level can't do. Um, so it just did research on a lot of things, like what's actually trending, and then gave me 5 different angles. And I pick one and it spits out everything else. So really, really cool. And I just pick one and it would go ahead and spit out this right here. So I'll show you all the app. This is just a custom landing page in a high level. I think we custom coded this, but it's in a high level website, just in the custom code block. Just like this page. So we redid our website in custom code. Like I was able to overlay this option and then it can drive more traffic and book more appointments. We just won the top AI sub account award for turning on. So, and it'll even present like 2 alternate videos. Like here, check out the done for you path, check out the DIY. So you can do stuff like this just in Chat GPT. I uploaded a link to the video in high level video storage. I uploaded a link to a high level email form, and I was able to customize the UI of the high level form to look like this with CSS. I dropped my calendar link and it puts that in there too. Go back. So yeah, you can do some really cool things that are a hybrid of high level plus custom code. And that's probably the angle that I'm going to take with the app I'm working on. So for a simple website, yeah, it works great. But then once you start doing custom apps, let me think of somebody who has something in here. Um, Mm-mm-mm-mm. Let me go to whose email? Patrick Bulkowski. Oh, let me stop sharing while I do this. There it is. Sorry, guys. Took me a second to find that email. I'm going to share my screen again and show you guys. So this is like, um, it actually loaded his pretty quick, but it pulls, yeah, it takes like 15 to 20 seconds. Oh, and then sometimes it glitches like that. So query keys into high level just can cause issues. And I think this is pulling from high level, not from Clockify. I think it's already synced to high level. But yeah, it can be a little glitchy. So that's what I've got. Tomorrow or Thursday, I'll have a better update on what platform we are going to use for our database. And I'll have clarity on like the real exact issues that come from using high level as a database. But that's it, ladies and gents. Thank you guys all for coming. And I'm excited to show you the next step on Thursday. Anybody got anything they need before I jump? Beautiful. Well, you guys know where to reach me if you do come up with something.